Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be showing you guys, well, I'm guessing the damage from me crashing the 4-valve swap Mustang. So let's get into today's video. Alright, so I actually wanted to sit in the car because there's definitely a lot of backstory to be told leading up to the actual crash itself. But basically, I took the week off. I didn't want to make any more videos until I got this thing running right, so I dug into it, threw away the old fuel tank. It was completely rusted inside, bought a new one, installed everything from the old tank into the new tank, and it ran a little bit better. But I also found out that my fuel pressure was bleeding off soon as I turned the car off, so it was dropping straight to zero, which means that the check valve that's in the tank wasn't working, or it had some type of malfunction. So I ended up cutting that rusted section of my I think that's where the spare wheel or the spare tire went, in the back out. I cut that out so we could get to the fuel pump without having to remove the tank anymore, because when I get this car painted, I'm actually gonna cut all of the rust out in the back and just sand the edge down and paint it just like that, leave it open so that I can easily get to the fuel pump in the future. But I took that apart, and like I said, the check valve, some hoses were really like kinked and weird in the back there, so I tried to fix that and it helped a bit. But I believe the issue is it's just that it's a cheap product. You know, I think it cost me like 40 bucks, when in reality the one that I'm going to buy for it is like 140 bucks. So you know, you get what you pay for. So that was one of the major issues with this car the entire time, was that the lines and the check valve and all that crap what came with that cheap $40 kit was giving us all these issues this time. So hopefully soon, within like the next 2 weeks or so, I'll be ordering a brand new fuel setup, brand new coils, and brand new OEM Motorcraft 0.54 gap spark plug. So basically everything's going to be new in the timing, in the ignition system, and everything's going to be new in the fuel tank. But let me show you guys exactly what I mean when I said that I cut out that piece in the back, and then I'll show you guys how the engine looks now, and just walk you guys through what was going on before the accident actually happened. Alright, so this is the tank. Like I said, all of this rust, when we get this car painted, will be cut out and just sand the edge down so that it isn't sharp, and then we're going to put primer on it and actually paint it so that the rust stops moving. All of this here will be dealt with. All of the rust in other places of the car will also be dealt with when we get it painted. But for now, I just wanted to cut out that it was one big rusted spot in here, so I just cut it out roughly so that we could get to this, and you can still see some of the chips of the rust still moving about. But this whole kit was like some kit on Amazon. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like 40 bucks. Don't waste your time, don't buy it. Get the $140 one time. Hoses in it will kink after a while, they will go bad, they will collapse and cause you a lot of fuel pressure issues, so do not buy it. So yeah, let's move to the front now. Let me show you guys what we did up there. This is in the hood. Finally got cold air intake on it, which is just one of the elbows off of the Turbo Marauder build, with a 3-inch coupler to a MAF to an air filter. And then we have a 4-inch right here to a 3-inch. And then now throttle can move without hitting it, which is very good. We have our fuel pressure, we have our O2 sensors, our NOx sensors hooked up, all of our sensors. Don't mind this tape, it just had an air leak on here, but have this all airtight. This is EGR, and Yeah, another problem we have to fix is this power steering hose. I think I have to figure out how these lines actually route themselves. From factory, I think I have them backwards somehow, because when you press the brakes, it kind of like stalls the system a bit. I gotta figure that one out. But yeah, just a few more things to work on. But the motor actually started running a lot better yesterday, and what ended up happening is, yeah, so like I was saying, as I was on a test drive after fixing so many things in the engine bay and fixing or attempting to fix that fuel pump issue, because it's still not exactly fixed. What's happening is the check valve is it wasn't pulling fuel inside of the bowl or the little canister that the fuel pump sits in, so the motor was actually running out of fuel all this time. Also, I believe those spark plugs are completely fouled out. One of my friends actually told me to change all of them. I'm going to, but I want to buy OEM brand new Motorcraft ones. I don't want the auto light or nothing like that. Not that they're not good ones, a lot of people run those. I just want to make sure that my spark plugs are good. What else? So yeah, I was out most of yesterday testing, and it still was running rough. Came home, sorted out some more stuff. You know, I was going through really like a process of elimination, and then I found out that it was the fuel pump, and that's why I started messing with the lines in the back there. But so far, motor is completely healthy, and nothing was bent or messed up during the crash. It just ran into the bush a little bit, pushed in the fender a little by hitting a tree, but it wasn't nothing major at all. But what actually happened yesterday is, like I said, I was out testing. I was doing like 75 miles an hour on the highway before this ever happened. I didn't crash at 75 miles an hour. I crashed at like 30 or something like that. But I was out on the highway, I was testing completely, taking it for long runs, still acting very crazy. Brought it home, started working on it again, got it running much better, to the point where you could actually do donuts and you could actually burn out. And I actually have a video of me burning out, even though it wasn't that, you know, I didn't do it that long because it still was acting up. But I'll show you a video of that right now. Yeah, so as you can see, it was performing much better, right? So one of my friends came through, we were driving around, I was showing him how it was performing, just performing really well compared to how it was. It still wasn't 100%, but what ended up happening is, as I was taking the last corner to come home, after I was doing all kinds of burnouts, drifting, sliding, all that stuff in the car, taking the last corner, the steering wheel, the airs of the steering wheel broke off and dropped the steering wheel right in my lap. No joke, no lie, no exaggeration. I'm gonna turn the camera around right now to show you guys exactly how that steering wheel just completely broken off and threw me straight into the bush. Because basically how steering works is the linkage turns because the steering wheel is bolted to the vehicle. So if it's not bolted, it's actually just gonna turn the linkage, and you're gonna have to turn like twice as much just to get it to turn in the direction you want it to turn in. So coming home, doing about 30, coming around the bend, and you know, I'm already turning to come around a bend. So what ended up happening is it just stayed there. As I tried to turn back to, you know, straighten up to go straight, just went straight into the bush. So I'm going to show you guys the steering wheel now. All right, so here it is. You can actually see that it's just hanging there. It's just connected to the linkage, and you can imagine that the bolts were not slack, because definitely they're still in. If you can see that the actual nut is still on it on both sides, even in the back where the nut was on the bottom one. Let me show you that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the nut is right here and it is still on. You can see that. But the front two nuts came loose, dropped the steering wheel right in my lap, and as you can see, you can still turn it a bit even with it being down, and all it does is it turns the linkage. It doesn't do anything else. See? And it doesn't turn the wheels. So you hear that noise with me turning it? doesn't turn the wheels at all. So you have to really crank it over now that the steering wheel is like this to get it to do anything. So this steering column has to change. The pieces that connect it to the vehicle have broken off and snapped completely. So yeah, this thing here caused me a lot of issues yesterday, but not a lot of damage, thankfully. No motor parts, no basically nothing motor wise was damaged. The side mirror obviously broken off by a tree, and then just this here, one little dent on the quarter panel, on the front panel I should say, and then the lights, but these lights were ever going to get changed, so really nothing to talk about when it comes to damage. But yeah, could have all been avoided because I just remembered that I swapped out this wheel for I swapped out the factory wheel that was in here because I thought it was so rusty and all of this other crap. But I took the Marauder wheel, the Mercury Marauder's wheel, and put it in here because it bolted right up, and now that almost killed me because, like I said, if this happened while I was testing on the highway, I really don't think we would have been here having this conversation. But thankfully it happened where I wasn't too far from home at all, and also nothing was damaged, none of the wiring, anything like that, no engine parts, nothing. So just a little panel, and that was it. Just a little dent there. But like I said, I was out testing this thing at 75 miles an hour, and like I said, it would have probably been a much different story if it happened then. All right, so excuse the jumpiness of the camera, I'm actually walking, but that's how close that I ended up crashing yesterday. Like I said, making the last turn to get to my house, steering wheel ended up breaking free from the car and ran me off the road right into the bush. So I believe the biggest moral of the story here is, you know, if you're going to be using cars that have not been on the road in a very long time, definitely you have to double check and triple check absolutely everything. You cannot guess it. You cannot just say, well, I hope it's going to be fine, or, you know, because that Mustang I'm using in a 4-valve swap is actually, it's been underwater. It's water damage. That's why I got it all gutted out like that. And I put absolutely everything into it. Now, the Marauder that we got the steering wheel out of was water damage as well. That's why we got rid of the Marauder, because she was underwater up to her roof in Hurricane Dorian. Same thing for the Mustang. So if you're gonna do this swap, best thing to do is probably get a vehicle that was running, like someone who had a 2-valve Mustang and they just want to get rid of the car because they blew the motor or blew the heads or something like that, where you could just swap in the 4-valve into a car that has already been driven and tested and already been on the road. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna redo and recheck absolutely everything on the car now. Cannot have that happening to me doing, you know, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. That could have been extremely deadly. So I hope you guys learn from my mistakes. That's why I post most of my videos with me failing, hoping that others can actually benefit from things that I've already been through, experience, and can give a little bit of advice on. But right on the side of me is where I ran into the bush, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened right now. So yeah, this here is the bend that I was coming around, and I came down, was turning, and like I said, the steering wheel ended up breaking free from my hand, and you can actually see, if I was coming around the bend, that the car didn't turn back, because these are my tire marks here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is it right there, and it runs straight up here. And all it really did was push some trees back, and you can see where the wheel hit that tree over there, and that's where the fender got mashed. But like I said, thankfully nothing happened to me, nothing really happened to the car. That's why my motto is run and drive your car for about 2 weeks before you paint it. Make sure everything is good. But yeah, you can see these are my 2 tire marks, and the car just never straightened back up after making the bend. Ran me straight into the bush. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is how I crashed my 4-valve swap Mustang. I would like to say it's not my fault, but in life it's either you accept responsibility for what happened or you just continue to blame others your entire life. So I do accept that it is my fault because I should have doubled and triple checked that. I definitely learned my lesson about just assuming that things are good and not testing them, and you know what I mean? There's not really a way to test a steering column other than to drive it, or you know what I mean? It's one of those things that just I didn't account for. You know, that plastic, one of my friends, Whitson, told me that that plastic could have been dry rot, the airs for the steering rack, and that's what made it so brittle where it could have broken free. But I am super grateful that I didn't end up injured or hurt, or you know, the car was damaged beyond repair, or you know, so I'm definitely grateful for that. And I appreciate you guys' support. Definitely lots of videos to come. We're gonna be doing, I believe the next video is gonna be doing an angle kit, like a budget-friendly angle kit on these Mustangs. Super easy to do. I did it on my Camaro. Gets you very good steering angle. You almost never spin out after doing this, but that's gonna be in the next video. Also after that, we're gonna be lowering this thing. We're gonna be lowering the Mustang. I'm not sure how low yet. I don't wanna be scraping, but I definitely wanna bring it down so that the car isn't high up in the air like a truck anymore. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one.